Talking about sweet, sweet, sweet savors of sworddom.
Sorry, Joe. That banter was too good. I had to hit the start button.
Talk about your sword. Talk about your sword a little more there, Joe.
I don't want to bore the audience with the history of the Doge sword. Let me just see here.
I'm gonna search Doge.
Doge Albion sword.
I feel like when I think of Doge, I think of the Doge coin. Did you buy that sword with Dogecoin?
I did not. So let's see here. Doge
Did you buy it with
sword.
fart? Did you buy it with fart coin?
The Doge, which is just Duke, in let's see here, was like the head of the Ventian state over 1,000 years until 1797. He was the last Doge. Let's see, by Napoleon, Venice's Republic, blah blah blah. Yeah, take a look at the sword online. It's absolutely beautiful. I love that it has a finger protector, so that way your finger doesn't get chopped off, but you also have more grip because you actually grip onto the hilt. So not the hilt, the cross
Pommel.
the pommel. Well, not just the pommel. It can be a hand and a half sword, or by gripping up onto the hilt itself. Not the hilt. I keep saying the cross guard. You have more control, like a rapier.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at it, and it looks like a rapier with an edge. Is what it looks like. Very cool. Yeah, I've thought about this a lot. Not a lot, but I can remember thinking about it sometimes as like I remember reading the Aragon book series, like the Inheritance saga by Christopher Paolini. And in one of the books he talks about the process of forging a sword, because like he's got to forge his own sword and his dragon is going to help him forge it, and like it's this whole ordeal. And so then I thought about like, well, if I was a fantasy character, let's say I was creating a character for D&D or something like that, what kind of weapon would I want to hold, or what kind of sword would I want to use? And I keep coming back to the bastard sword, or the hand and a half, or bastard as it's colloquially called.
The bastard, yeah.
Yeah, just because it's bigger, it's big enough to use two hands, but it's not so big that you have to use two hands, you know. So it's an in-betweener, and I think that's the sword that I would use if I carried a sword.
Mm-hmm.
You know why it's called the bastard sword?
Because it has no father.
No, actually, because it comes from the French term bastarde, which means a little bit of this and a little bit of that. That's where the term bastard comes from, is because, you know, if you're a bastard, you're from this father and also then this mother, not one single family unit. So hand and a half is a little bit of this and a little bit of that.
Fair
I
enough.
like
Nice.
it. Like it.
Love the history lesson. Leave it to Joe to educate us on history.
I mean, I am an education teacher. I'm a history teacher, and also an English teacher. So history, English, it's all good.
Fair enough.
But we might as well start the podcast. So, welcome to Those Catholic Gamers, a podcast about Catholic guys coming together to talk about video games and their Catholic faith. I am Joe, your host, and today I am joined by the illustrious Connor. The
How
immaculate
illustrious.
James.
Hello.
And most importantly, Andrew.
The first shall be last. Joe.
And most importantly, Andrew. Most importantly. So today we are talking about, I think we hinted this on a way podcast in the past, but we're going to talk about Gen 1 Pokemon today.
Woo! Love me some Gen 1 Pokemon. Definitely the goated, the second goated of the series in IMO.
I've got opinions on that too, of where it stands. But today we're going to talk about the red, the green, the blue, the red, the yellow. And yes, I said red twice. Does anybody know why I said red twice?
Because they're different.
There's Japanese and there's American.
Yes, sir. Ding, ding. Bonus points for Connor. So James, you never answered my text. Have you ever played Pokemon?
Oh, this is a convoluted question. Then again, everything with me is convoluted. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, just like whenever we talk about Linux,
yes.
it's always convoluted.
Just a sensitive,
Man,
just a
this
sensitive
is-
boy.
This is
Just
a
a
wacky. This is a wacky Wednesday kind of episode. Joe's hosting.
Shoving it in
Connor
there.
talking about Linux. So anyway, so no, I did not grow up playing Pokemon. Pokemon was actually banned from the house. I had some contraband cards hidden away in my underwear drawer because some friends wanted me to like start collecting. I did not actually play Pokemon on a Game Boy until I was 19, working construction, because I had some money and I was like, you know what, I want to try this out. So,
And what was your first game?
Red.
All right.
Nice.
And who did you start with?
What was what was your starter? That's important.
Oh, I mean, Charmeleon.
Charmeleon, you joker, you.
Yeah, you joker,
Charmeleon.
McGee. Come on, it's jeez.
Charizard, duh.
Well, it's not Charizard
Pikachu!
because he evolves into Charizard.
Charmander is the
Charmander.
Pokemon you're
Thank
looking
you.
for.
Yeah.
Charmeleon was the second evolution.
Yeah,
For shame, James.
or
For
the first
shame.
one.
Yeah, so well, James had started with Pokemon Red. I had started with Pokemon Blue. And my starter was Squirtle. Here we go.
Buddy.
So in the text thread that we were talking about here, we were talking about Pokemon, what we're doing here, and who the hardest gym was. And for those of us who started on Pokemon Yellow,
I'm sorry, we seem to be having some technical difficulties.
at Connor.
So-
Connor, tell me about your fantastic experiences playing this game as a young diaper-clad youth.
Well, I did the math, and this came out in, was it 98? So I would have been six or seven.
Diaper-clad.
And I remember when I first, I was potty trained at 3. Okay, I asked my mom, "Don't you fret. We're not all chumps like someone I know." But I remember getting this game and not knowing how to read, which is fun because then you just basically go around just talking to random things and going through forests, and you're just like, where do I go? Well, and I pulled an Andrew, and basically every time I would go do something, I would do the same thing over and over and over again, just out of habit and not out of logic. I wasn't like doing something to progress the story. So I remember when you get the original ball from Professor Oak, and you have to take it to, I forget, to the Pokemon Mart in not Pallet Town.
It would
the parcel. Remember the parcel?
The next town, which would be
I forget that town.
You don't come back to it until like the end of the game, so it doesn't even
Yeah,
matter.
it's where the 8th gym is. But anyway, I was like, okay, well, I'm just gonna take it over here, but I realized the first thing you do when you get into town is you go to the Pokemart, and you're like, oh, okay, cool, what's in here? And I would sell it every single time, which would soft lock the game.
I didn't know it could do that.
Yeah, I remember doing that for hours, and I would basically memorize the entire entry section because you couldn't progress because you didn't have the parcel. So yes, you could soft lock the game. I realized that at age 6, but I didn't know I had soft locked it. So I wandered the entire section of it trying to figure what things out. So eventually my cousin told me, after me doing this for about 30 hours, and I didn't know how to save. So every time I would play the game, I would start at the same spot and I would get frustrated. So I didn't know how to save. I didn't know how to do anything. And I think this really formed me as a gamer, especially learning how to problem solve and like how I can't just throw my head against the wall sometimes. Maybe I made a mistake.
So the second town where you take the parcel is Viridian City.
I'm on my way to Viridian City.
And Connor, like you pulled an Andrew. I don't know what you mean by this.
Okay. Let's explain this for the folks at home. Last night we were playing Hitman, and Andrew, so a big part of the game is you want to sneak around and it's called a secret assassin. So if you get a secret assassin, which is the highest rating, you get the most points. Silent assassin. Excuse me.
Silent but deadly.
And I wanted to watch Andrew do a silent assassin mission. Well, he had never done this mission before, and it was basically like watching hamburger getting made. It was super boring because he was walking around the map doing the same thing over and over and over and over again. And I was like, Andrew, you gotta go this way. Huh? And he would go back in the opposite direction. And just like it was like him throwing his head against the wall. I'm like, I'm trying to help him. He's trying to ignore me. And eventually I had to go to bed because I couldn't watch it anymore. And then he stayed up for another 2 hours till midnight playing it. But anyway, I think that focused me as a gamer growing up, that I made a mistake and eventually I learned, and I did go on to the next section of the game. But I learned how to save after that and learned that reading is important.
I do love to read.
Reading is important. So I will let Gus be able to read before I give him Pokemon.
Let him dink around on it and just keep doing the same thing over and over, because that also cements you as a gamer, is knowing that, hey, I may be getting it wrong over and over and over, but I have the fortitude to keep playing it even when I'm frustrated, or I come back to it after being frustrated.
Yes, but what Gus is going to do is he's going to come up to you and be like, help, 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 every like 2 seconds. So
you're like, hey, I don't know how to play that. Sorry.
I don't know, kid. Just go to the Seafoam Island and go like on the East Coast there, and you'll find the missing no, and you'll duplicate all the Master Balls. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
No, I'll just tell him to figure it out. So that was my experience growing up. And eventually I pretty much, to this day, I know that I have the entire game memorized. I could go back and go beat it in within 3-4 hours if I needed to.
I still kind of wonder if I ever like went blind, could I play Pokemon, Gen 1 all the way through? Just by the sound of digging into the walls. Like,
that would be tough.
Would I do it?
That would be tough.
Let's have a speed run, a blind playthrough.
Yeah.
Is it really a blind playthrough if the last?
How would you battle?
Just like knowing the Pokemon's moves, like if you were to, I think you could do it basically because like each Pokemon has a different sound too, and like every Pokemon has a different cry. So possibly you could.
No, a lot of them are the same in the first gen.
It's so dumb. Like, did you do that Mewtwo, and Parasect all the exact same cry?
They have the same sprite, don't they? Too?
Sprite? No.
They have different sprites.
Different sprites, same
cry. They have to have different sprites to be different Pokemon.
Well, there's the menu sprites.
Oh yeah, those are the same. I think
those are all the same. There's only like 6 or 7 different menu sprites. Anyway, I digress.
I guess my experience playing the game at a young age, I too was illiterate. Which
still are.
Yes, I'm an English teacher.
He's an English teacher and he's illiterate.
It's a hard.
If that's an explanation of our educational system,
that's the public education system at its finest.
A shining example. Anyways, being illiterate at 4 caused a lot of problems. I had to restart the game a lot of times. And one of the times it was because a Pidgey kept using Sandust against my Pikachu. This is when I was playing Pokemon Yellow. And so just like over and over and over. And since it was faster, it always got that first shot in. Meaning
because it only knew 2 moves.
Exactly. So like, and it just kept using it over and over and over. So it took me about 5 minutes before I was like, all right, I can't hit this thing, and I'm just struggling. Or no, I didn't get to the struggling point yet, but was missing everything. So I tried to retreat. But in that game, your retreat is based off your Pokemon's speed value. And my Pikachu was way slower than the Pidgey. And so I couldn't retreat either. So I couldn't hit and I couldn't retreat. So I restarted the game and I was like, I'm done for a little bit. I cried. It sucked. But went back to it later and I avoided Pidgeys.
Oh, you
Like,
have
my life
you
depended on
don't. Oh, you guys remember when you would play it and your battery would die?
Yeah.
Oh, brutal.
Remember playing without the backlights? Like every time you're playing in the car, it's dark out. You like find every street light. Just,
Pretty sure I have vision damage to this day because of that.
Same. Next part here. Favorite gym leader for you guys. Mine's Lieutenant Surge. I like electric Pokemon, and he's pretty darn cool. Just thinking like there was a Pokemon War at some point in time, and he's a lieutenant for it. Pretty cool. How about you guys?
I liked what was the fire gym? Blaze?
Blaine.
I liked Blaine. I think Blaine had an Arcanine, and what else did he have? Did he have a Growlithe?
He had a Magmar, if I remember right.
Was it a Magmar and a Rapidash? Yeah.
Yeah,
I really
Rapidash.
liked him. He was a cool, he was a unique, gym in and of itself.
Yeah, I haven't thought about who my favorite gym leader is. But I could remember watching the animated TV show at the same time as I was playing the game. And so I think probably Brock or Misty would probably be up there with my favorite gym leaders just because you could relate to them series at the same time that I was playing the game.
Misty was your waifu.
I didn't even know what a waifu was back then.
Definitely not a reason why half the population's into redheads.
Oh.
Has there been a double-blind peer-reviewed study on that?
Between me and you.
James, what about you? What's your favorite gym leader?
I honestly don't know the names besides Brock.
Well, in that case, James, you're gonna have to play this game here. So I got a Pokemon quiz for you, James. So halftime show.
All right.
Don't cheat. I've already.
Yeah, don't cheat. So this is all based on from Blaine's gym. You have to take a Pokemon quiz, and this is straight from the game from Pokemon Gen 1 from the Game Boy. So James, question 1: Caterpie evolves into Butterfree. Yes or no?
No, isn't it Weedle or something like that? No, yes.
So you are
yes or no? Yes
wrong.
Or no, James? Okay. Yes or no?
No.
The answer is technically correct in the Pokemon game. It says it's correct. So that is incorrect though, because it evolves into Metapod first, which evolves into Butterfree.
Which all Metapod could do is harden, and that frustrated the ever-living heck out of me. That the only move he knew was harden.
Yeah, so you couldn't capture him as the evolution because otherwise he doesn't learn anything, and then he never upgrades. So
unless you want to go through all of the hardens and let them use struggle, which allows you to do damage, but also damages yourself. If you're a masochist.
So this is what you do to evolve him: is you put him in your belt first. So when you throw him, you throw him first. You switch him out, and then you get extra XP because he was there. So every Pokemon that's involved in the battle
splits the XP.
Same with Magikarp.
Splits it 50-50. Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
James, next one. Are Thunder moves effective against ground element type Pokemon?
No. It would be against water.
All right. So technically, Thunder isn't a real type. Presumably, they meant electric. Also, ground element type Pokemon is a very contrived way of saying ground type Pokemon.
Yeah. You cannot actually use electric moves against ground type Pokemon.
That's why Connor struggled with Brock so much.
And fire. They do really well.
No.
Well, yeah.
No. I'm saying
ground well does
I'm
against
saying,
fire.
yeah, fire is not effective against ground. Yeah. I remember
ground
that.
is effective against fire.
Yeah, and vice versa. So when I went in with my Charmander,
Not vice versa. Fire is
it
not
was hard.
is
I'm
least
saying
effective.
it's not effective. I'm saying it's not effective. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
All right, James. Last question to kind of clear the water here. So this for all the beans, James. All the beans, both pinto, black beans, garbanzo beans,
have a lot of
all
beans.
of
and
them.
magical beans.
And magic beans. TM28 contains Tombstoner. Yes or no?
No.
Good. It contains Dig. There's no such move as Tombstoner.
All right. You would have dropped back and faced. You would have faced at least one battle there, James.
Evolves into a Weedle, right?
Weedle.
I remember it was like the Sting and Poison. I really liked that one.
Too bad it evolves into a Beedrill, which they did Beedrill quite dirty. They did all poison type Pokemon dirty in the first game.
Yeah, the Poison was absolute garbage in the first game.
Yeah.
And Psychic was unapologetically the best. They had literally no weakness.
Mm-hmm.
Because the only thing that was strong against Psychic was Bug, which was the worst. There was no actual Bug type attack moves. And Ghost was actually effective against it, but there was the only Ghost attack move in the first generation did a set amount of damage. It only did 40 damage. It couldn't do any more. It couldn't do any less. So it didn't matter if you were super effective. And that's why they nerfed it in the second game by introducing the ground or the dark typing.
Dark type. And also made more bug moves like X slash.
In the second game, did they?
Yeah, I thought they introduced a couple
I
more.
thought-
Like, Scyther got an evolution. And...
Yeah.
What? Scyther got an evolution?
So not
Yeah.
Scyther.
Scyther did.
Yeah.
It was a steel bug.
Steel bug.
I forget the name of it was.
Scizor.
Scizor. Okay, yeah, okay, I remember that now. Okay. And then he got a final evolution eventually too.
Mega evolution, yes.
Yeah, Cleavor is the mega evolution. Yeah.
No, okay, so Cleavor is the oh gosh.
Oh man, we're going to the woods now.
Pokemon Arceus. So it's just a different evolution. So instead of Scyther, it evolves into Cleavor.
Okay.
A couple of generations had Mega Evolutions, so it would have like another form technically.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm a Pokemon nerd.
It's just Mega Sizer is all who it is. Okay. Interesting. Gotcha.
Still cool.
I've forgotten about so much of this stuff, man.
I started getting back into it when I started playing Pokemon Go again. And then I got banned, so I kind of...
Why'd you get banned, Connor? Why'd you get banned? Stay here for the records.
That's for a different podcast.
True, we do need to do a Pokemon Go.
We do need to do a Pokemon Go podcast. Anyway.
But in the meantime, James, what is your favorite Gen 1 powerhouse Pokemon, if you have a favorite powerhouse?
Oh, wait. We didn't talk about all of our other favorite... Or no, sorry. Never mind.
I'm
keep going.
around a little bit to keep it on time.
Yeah, that's all right.
Sure. I mean, Charizard. Because I'm a basic B like that.
I'm trying to think. The first one, Snorlax, was probably my favorite in the first game. Just because you could do rest and did they have sleep talk in the first one? No, they didn't.
Belly drum, I think, is what they had.
No, they didn't have belly drum. There was no belly drum in the first game.
I feel like they did. I mean, we can always go to Cerebi and check that, but
I don't think belly drum was in the first one. But I remember being really tanky with Snorlax.
Andrew, what about you?
I mean, I started with Squirtle. Blastoise was my man. Mostly because he could surf, he could surf. But then, as far as like looking at, other powerhouses that I was a fan of, like Ninetales. I liked the Ninetales. I don't know if that's considered what's a powerhouse? What's considered a powerhouse?
Like
So
I would say like a Pokemon that you could go through the whole game with.
yeah,
Um,
just
Like a hard carry Pokemon. I would also say Zapdos was another one of my
but you gotta wait till the
powerhouse.
end to get Zapdos.
Yeah, I'd wipe house the Elite Four with Zapdos.
so like my ride or dies, like that's another way to maybe take it is ride or die. Like Blastoise, Pidgeot, Ninetales, Machop or Machamp. The Machamp was the big dude. Arcanine was another good one, and then
Arcanine was a good
Alakazam,
one.
and then Alakazam. Like those were like always on my belt.
Yeah. See, the problem is I never could get the evolutions, so 90% of the time I couldn't do those.
For me, it'd have to be Nidoking, just because it's an early game powerhouse. So what you do is, in Pokemon, I believe it was Blue, you can pick up a Nidoran in that not the very first patch of grass, but like right past Viridian City, or to the left of Viridian City. You can pick one of those up, start training him up, get him to like level 21 right after Brock, or was it 18? Basically, evolve him, and then in Mount Moon, you can get a Moonstone, and right away, right before Misty, you've got a Nidoking, who is an absolute powerhouse, and you just keep ramping up his level.
Yeah,
And
because
so,
it could learn double kick
not
at
just
like
double
20.
kick. Oh yeah, like early on, it learns a really good move, and later on, it can get moves like Blizzard or Thunder. Like all your really heavy hitting moves, it could get those right out the gate. And Earthquake, which then also gets stab bonus. So Nidoking, just because of its powerhouseness, is one that could rampage through the game.
I've done that before. I remember in high school, we would download emulators on our computers and play during class. Because, why not? And I remember playing through either it was with the blue or red with Nidoking the whole way. It'd be like an hour and a half.
It's an easy run through if you do it with that.
Nidoking is a drill-type Pokemon who stands at 4 foot 7 inches tall, weighing 136.7 pounds.
Thanks, Dex.
Classic.
All right, so James, we're gonna quiz you here and see if you know what this term means and see if you have a favorite. What is your favorite HM slave Pokemon?
What?
Oh, yes. Here we
HM
go.
Slave, James.
I
Yes.
don't even know what that is.
Oh, man.
I don't
You
even
have an
know
HM slave? Did you have an HM slave there, Andrew?
Blastoise new Surf. Well, I said it already.
That's not what an HM slave is. Connor, educate him.
An HM slave is a specific Pokemon that could learn multiple HM, like technical moves that you basically had at like a super low level. You never used it because it was only used for the HM. So like Cut was an HM, Fly was an HM. Was
Flash.
Stones Flash was an HM.
Rock Smash.
Rock Smash. Rock Smash was a TM, I'm pretty sure.
I think
Oh.
yeah, you're right.
Okay.
Early on it was.
So
Okay, so here's the thing. So that's why
drill then.
Beedrill.
Yeah.
Beedrill? Oh, mine was Pidgey. Because I think Pidgey could learn Cut. Oh, could it?
So
No, it
I didn't know about this. That's why Blastoise knew Surf and Pidgeot knew Fly, and like some of these other ones. Like there was like a Pokemon that I evolved up to have the one HM for, and then it just stayed on my belt.
It was more prevalent in later games. The first game didn't really have a ton of HMs slaves. I mean, I don't even know off the top of my head. I mean, Diglett, you could teach him dig and cut. I remember that.
I like the big thing is like there are some of those moves like Surf, Strength, Fly. I didn't mind just having on my powerhouse Pokemon or like my stronger ones. But like Cut, it's only a 40 power, so it's like I don't want to put Cut on my Nidoking. That's a wasted move slot.
Yeah, so it was more so like you wouldn't waste slots, attack slots on like useless moves like Cut.
Okay, so this is another thing too. So like Diglett, for example, Diglett could only learn Cut in Pokemon Yellow.
Oh.
So like I had Pokemon Blue, so like it might not have been a thing. And the reason I know that is because I'm on Cerebi right now, and so like I'm going to these things and looking at it.
Nerd.
So
Hey, Cerebi's the best.
yeah,
It is
like
the
so
best.
I'm looking at the moves for Gen 1 Diglett, and Diglett only knew cut in Pokemon Yellow.
See?
So yeah, I guess interestingly enough, then our HM slaves be different based on what game we started with.
Right, because technically they are different games.
Oh yeah,
There were
no,
things that were included in Yellow that weren't in others. Like it was almost impossible to get a Pikachu in the other games.
no, they're almost entirely coded different too. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But
Yeah, the
Crazy.
Pikachu in Yellow is stronger. Is this technically the strongest Pikachu in all of Pokemon?
yeah. Oh man, how many times they've reworked Pikachu? It's absolutely crazy.
I don't know. I wouldn't know. I haven't played
Oh, I
played
know.
it that much.
I remember.
I remember. You remember? You remember Pikachu? I remember.
So I don't really have a particular like HM slave from any of the early games when I was a kid. I was kind of like Andrew, where it's like whoever I had learned the moves, or I keep them in the box. I have to like keep running back to get cut. But later on, once I found out about like all these glitches, Mew is the perfect HM slave because it can learn any TM or HM. So load
Yeah.
that sucker up and then just march around the game where I've got this like, the creator of everything on the Pokemon world, basically Pokemon Jesus, and he just, he learns my moves from me. He cuts things. He slices and
Which
dices.
you could technically get early on if you glitched it.
Oh yeah, right after Misty.
Misty,
Actually, before Misty.
Yeah, so Mew was just not available to me. I didn't have any access to Mew.
You got
And then
Well,
like
it was in all of the games, wasn't it?
yeah, it's in all the games. You just have to know the secret.
You have to know the glitch.
We're gonna teach you tonight, Andrew. We'll teach you.
Okay.
Stick with us, young Padawan. You'll learn.
Just don't glitch your game too much.
Yeah, I've done that. And then your game goes, no, comprendo, amigo.
My Hall of Fame, what happened? Anyways, favorite Gen 1 Pokemon design. So we all have our favorite Pokemon, but in Gen 1, the sprites looked a little bit different. What do we got? Andrew, I haven't called on you first yet. What about you? What's your favorite Gen 1 design?
I don't know if I have a favorite Gen 1 design. The one I looked at the most was Blastoise.
From behind?
Back Michelle, yep.
From behind the back of his shell. Yeah, it's just, and then it's always stained, right? Because like looking back, like your memory as a childhood, like your imagination filled in so many more gaps than it did when you were nowadays. And so I mean like I remember liking Cubone a lot, like going into Lavender Town and going up the tower and like Cubone. I just thought like the mask and the bone, like that was cool. Yeah, like that's not something I ever actually thought about of what my favorite sprite is.
Connor, how about you?
I think Gyarados, honestly, probably was one of my favorites, especially in the original ones. It's such a sick sprite. Like it really does look like a dragon. I mean, I feel like all of the original sprites were just freaking bang on. They were all really good.
Ekans looks dopey as heck.
Yeah, it does. I guess that's probably the one that's sour, the probably least favorite. Or wasn't coughing? Wasn't that's a bad? It's like an improper one. They changed it afterwards.
Actually, what was it? Not coughing his evolution.
Coughing's upside down.
Wheezing. I absolutely love his earlier design. He actually had like gas clouds that looked like hands.
Yeah,
hovering around him. So that looked pretty cool. But you're right. Coughing, they
flipped it, and it was that.
James, what about you? Favorite design from Gen 1?
I don't understand the question.
What Pokemon looks the coolest?
I have to
Oh, something I've even forgot about too, though, like Hitmonlee and Hitmonchan. They look cool. They were pretty cool.
Well, it's just all of them, all in the original game, were just so sharp. You know what I mean? Like they were just so much more pointed. They're kind of a little more scarier almost too.
Yeah.
Just because they were just, I just liked so much of the better original sprites. And then when they turned to 3D, it just ruined everything. I'm sorry, modern Pokemon people, but the 3D models of Pokemon are garbage. I've yet to see a 3D model of a Pokemon and say, "Oh, that looks cool."
Mm-hmm.
Some of the newer ones are okay. Where like, they actually, instead of just like making them all look like basically dolls, that's what Sword and Shield did. Some of them in Scarlet, they actually like pay attention to the hair, the way the Pokemon moves, and that is pretty cool to see that in 3D. But you're right, there's a lot of them they just ruined.
Yeah, they just didn't have the luster.
Problems with some of them were too lustrous, so they glistened.
That's true. It's true.
I'll have to go once again, probably with Charizard. I mean,
Nice.
Yeah,
As
I-
good
colors.
Yeah. I mean, what was it? Squirrel's final evolution. It looks Bulbous. No,
Blastoise?
Blastoise with like the water jets on the back of his shell.
Yeah.
The
That was pretty
cannons.
sick.
Yeah,
Hold
water
the phone.
cannon.
She's got a cannon.
I'd have to say mine. I've got 2 here. So I'm gonna be an ultimate nerd. So in Pokemon Green and Red, originally released in Japan, they actually had sprites that weren't tainted by the anime yet. So like we're talking original sprites. I'm gonna post them in the chat here. So sorry, audience member, you have to look them up on your own. But Sandshrew looked absolutely fantastic in the original. He's so cute. He's got like these bug eyes almost, like little beady beetle eyes. And that was a really cute design. So in the original ones, love his sprite the most. Later on, once they released it in America, and they also then released Pokemon Yellow Edition, they changed all the sprites to match their anime counterparts. So with those changes, I really like what they did. Well, okay, so I like Pikachu's original design. Like I like Fat Pikachu. But I also like the updated Pikachu where it looks more like the game version or the anime version. So
Yeah, I kind of like the updated Pikachu, but I can see what you mean with
Skinny-
the sand,
skinny
with the
Pikachu?
Sandshrew.
no,
So-
not Gen 5 skinny Pikachu. Like still kind of chubby, but definitely
Like Gen 3, maybe Gen 4. Gen 4 on the left.
Oh yeah.
So I had a Pokemon card that was the Gen 1 Fat Pikachu.
Nice.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
That's
that
actually
was
worth some money now.
I don't
if you
have
had
him
the-
anymore.
If you have well, yeah, it's because he got stolen.
No, I got him back. His parents
Aw.
called me. His parents like had me come over to his house, and they're like, "Andrew, we have a question for you." And I was like, "Okay." And I thought this was really weird because like adults were being serious with me, and they're like, "Are these yours?" And I was like, I didn't know they were missing, but they could be. Why?" And they're like, "Well, because our child said like we found these and he's not allowed to have them, and he said he took them from your house." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So then like I ran back home and I checked and I was like, "Yeah, they were missing." So then I went back and was like, "Yeah, they are mine." But later in life, I was a part of the Pokemon Club when I was going to college, and I was playing a lot of cards and bought a lot of cards and built a lot of decks and played a lot of Pokemon Black because that was the time when
That's
I was
what
there.
I had.
Um,
I still
but-
have it.
I still have Pokemon Black, but then there was a lot of special needs people that were a part of the Pokemon Club that just like didn't have money or couldn't participate because they didn't have cards or things like that. And the girl I was dating at the time was like, "This is really lame. Like you're really lame. You need to get rid of
Aw.
this." And so I
It sounds like you need to get rid of her.
eventually that's what happened. But I donated my cards to the Pokemon Club for the special needs kids. So and I like told like the organizer of it. I was like, "Okay, like these cards, like these are worth money, right? They're the Gen 1, like these are the original cards. like I am trusting you that these aren't just going to be taken by the regular kids to be like, these are for the special needs kids that can't afford cards or can't use them or whatever. And so who knows where they ended up, but that's where all my Pokemon cards ended up at, was the Pokemon Club for the.
Well, I should say this. All of the mint condition cards are worth money. Used cards are basically worthless.
Yeah.
Unless you have a Charizard, then they could be somewhat worth money, but that's about it. Sorry. Didn't mean to cut you off. But I remember when the cards came out and all the kids in the yard, all the yard all had them and stuff, and I begged my parents to get booster packs, and they were like, "Nope, we're not getting them for you." I was like, "What?" And like finally, after enough begging, they gave me 2. So like I had like literally this massive Pikachu binder and all this other stuff, and I had all the sleeves and stuff, and literally it was all commons. I didn't have a single holo whatsoever because they were like, you had to unpack like hundreds of them just to get a holo.
Oh yeah, they were much more rare back in the day.
Yeah.
Well, nowadays, like they've come back into vogue, and like
Ever since COVID, yeah.
Well, and I was up just like a couple weekends ago up in Fargo on guard duty on drill, and one of the members of my unit was like, "Oh yeah, I'm going to go to the card shop and I'm going to buy like a box of booster packs." And every booster pack, there's like a guaranteed holo in it. There's a guaranteed art card. There's like a guaranteed thing, and like it's like, "Oh yeah, this new pack just came out," and so I paid $130 for like 60 booster packs or whatever like that, and I opened all of them, and then I pulled this card and I pulled this card, which are like I'm gonna send them off and get them graded right away, because then I can resell them and then like pay for like. So he had like $400 worth of graded, like if he graded them and sold them on the secondary market, it was like $400 from $130 purchase, and it's like, man, like that's better than the stock market sometimes.
He got really lucky.
Yeah, it's really rare, but you can get really like strike big, and it's better than gambling.
It is gambling. It's not like gambling. It is gambling.
It is gambling, but it's better than like playing the lotto or anything like that.
It's worse than playing the lotto. It's worse lotto. Yeah, it's way worse. Way worse than playing the lottery.
But at the lottery, you have an empty ticket. With Pokemon, you could battle.
You have penny cards.
you have a tangible item that can be useful.
Tangible piece of cardboard.
Yeah, I spent a lot of money on cards because I was building specific decks. And so like I'd go on eBay and be like, okay, I'm looking for these 2 cards because I want to build a self-healing deck. Like I want to build a deck that like if I can get the evolution of this Pokemon, when they attack me, it actually does damage back to them and it heals me. And like so like it's like this whole thing that like just trying to like set the deck up. It was a very glass cannon-y type of deck, because if you didn't pull the cards properly, it didn't work at all. But if it did, you could destroy anything out there, and it was a really fun deck to build. Yeah.
Sounds like we'll have to talk about Pokemon cards sometime. So really leave.
We could definitely talk more about Pokemon, but I think we're kind of hitting our time limit.
Got it. So let's we'll cut a couple things out, but something that we've been hinting at for a while that I want to touch on. So some game exploits / playground rumors. So we've talked about Mew under the truck. We've talked a little bit about Masingno. We hinted about the Cinnabar Island coast glitch, and the long range trainer fly glitch. So Andrew, how many of these glitches have you done if you're looking at the list?
Masingno is the only one that I knew about. The other ones just seemed like playground rumors that I could never figure out. It was actually new information that there's a Mew glitch for Pokemon Blue, and it turns out you can actually acquire Mew in Pokemon Blue.
Oh yeah, so super duper easy to get it. So first off, there is no Mew under the truck. There is no Warren Bossing say there is no Mew under the truck. Early on, it's super easy. So you've got the long range fly or trainer fly glitch. So if you walk one space down on the trainers that they appear on the screen when you walk down, If you push the pause menu as soon as you go into range of them, it triggers it. So it triggers the menu opening first, and if you exit out, then it triggers the trainer. But if you hit fly, dig, teleport while you're in the menu, you exit out to go fly, you hop on your bird, the trainer triggers, but you fly off. And so the game is in this like weird stasis effect where the trainer is trying to get to you, but he's off the screen, so he can't load. So you're stuck in a perpetual state where it's trying to load the battle, but there is no battle to load. And so if you start another battle with a different trainer, it will trigger, like it'll alleviate that battle trigger state. But since it was the wrong trainer, it substitutes in some other Pokemon when you're walking into a new zone, and that's how you can trigger in Mew. Is it calls whatever identity of what the first Pokemon that the other trainer has, and one of those trainers just so happens to have the right code to trigger in Mew or whatever Mew's Pokédex ID is.
Yep.
Interesting.
That's the quick and dirty. Well, not the quick and dirty. That's the
very long,
semi long and dirty. But yeah. So I honestly didn't really know any glitches growing up. Like, I mean, obviously we heard about the car. Everyone heard about the car. That's like folklore for every single kid back then. But like, I didn't do really many. I did the Mew glitch when I got older in high school, and that was the big one that I never have done the missing no glitch.
It's super easy. So basically, same thing as before, except the battle that you get into. So like after you do the whole fly away thing, the battle you get into is actually you go through the tutorial of how to catch a Pokemon at the very, very start of the game, right out of Viridian City. So you have him teach you how to do the Pokemon, but since it actually stores your name as his name instead, because he is technically now the trainer in the battle against the Caterpie, it just so happens to go outside the bounds of the game, and that's when then you go into Cinnabar Island's coast. Since they didn't code that right,
Seafoam Island's coast.
Actually, Cinnabar over on the east side is where you do it at. You can also do it there, like anywhere in that sea works on the coasts.
Okay.
But since you can fly to Cinnabar, that's the easiest place. It's just right there.
Gotcha.
And that's where you can meet level 145 Chanseys and Missing No.
I always went to Seafoam Island as a kid. I didn't know about the Cinnabar Island.
Much easier way of doing it.
Now you know.
Now you know.
Better late than never.
And then same thing, like depending on what Pokemon you are, I think like different trigger effects for like different statuses, like based on what your name is in the game. You can get different versions of Missing No. Like you've all seen probably the glitchy Missing No, where it's a bunch of missing characters and glitched out stuff. But depending on what you call yourself, the sprite for it will actually look, instead of like all those missing blocks, it'll actually call it as the fossils from the museum. So like the old Aerodactyl fossil or Kabatu. I mispronounced that. But yeah. So cool thing if you wanted to actually get all the different versions of Missing No and really mess up your game.
Fun times. Do you have any other crazy glitches you want to talk about there, Joe?
Two quick ones. Status effects, right? In the first game, there are two of them that really got crazy. So first off, Gen 1, Frozen.
Frozen was the freaking worst.
It was. James Andrew, you ever heard about this? Frozen? Not the movie with Elsa.
The status effect?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it wasn't like
it was
Frozen glitched. It was. Oh, I wasn't aware of that.
So it was kind of glitched. Keep going on, James. What'd you hear about it?
Well, there are others, right? There's like Entanglement or something.
1 sec, sorry.
So kind of. I mean, the biggest thing with Frozen and Gen 1 is they hadn't patched it right. So if you got frozen, you never got unfrozen. Like sleep wears off, confusion wears off, poison, you can still attack at least. In paralyzation, you can still attack. But frozen, once you're frozen, you can never be unfrozen unless somebody used a fire-based attack on you or you used a freeze heal, which you can't use in trainer battles. So in Gen 1 competitions, they had to ban frozen or like moves that would freeze people, because it just banned them from the rest of the game because they couldn't do anything with that Pokemon then. So it's effectively KOing a Pokemon, and it was like a 30 to 50% chance on some of those moves. And then the other one that was also status effect was toxic. So regular poison, I think it did like 1/16 damage to you, where toxic it did 1/16, but every turn that goes by, it would be ×2 of the previous turn, right? So it compounds, does more and more damage. In the first game, because of how it was coded, Leech Seed would actually copy whatever damage Toxic did. So if you did Toxic and Leech Seed, turn 1 does 1/16 damage. Turn 2, it does 1/8 of their health, and then Leech Seed also does 1/8 on top of that and heals you 1/8 of whatever you took. And then next turn, it would be 1/4 was done in toxic damage and also then Leech Seed. So no matter if they kept healing, you would heal that much and do double the amounts of damage compounding. So absolutely crazy. And that's why Bulbasaur was really cool later on, because he could learn Toxic and Leech Seed.
Cool.
Sorry about my Pokemon or my boring Pokemon facts.
Not boring. I mean, it's fun. I mean, sure, someone will listen to this and be like, "Oh, I never heard about that." So I mean, it's good. Good information. Gus woke up and Abby was sleeping. So
Well,
okay.
shoot. Sounds like a
Fun
good time
times.
to wrap this up then. So scores and ranking. Here on the podcast, we have a special form of ranking this. James, wouldn't mind introducing, well, I guess reintroducing, because this is what, podcast number 50?
No.
25.
Also, Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry
Merry
Christmas. Yeah. This will be coming out the 27th.
During the Christmas season.
Yeah.
My rating, A1 all the way. 100%. Totally a kid's game. Probably the first A1 we've given on this podcast.
First, but not the last.
No, it won't be the last, but definitely the first.
I agree with you there, Connor, because yeah, there's violence in the game, but it's basically
and it's not, you don't even see it in the first, like, it's just like random sprites to go across the screen and then your Pokemon flashes.
Exactly. And Pokemon takes steps to reassure the younger audience that no, he's not dead. He just fainted.
He just fainted.
Yes,
but they
a
do
level
die.
100 they do die. Like
if you leave them fainted for too long, they do die.
You may have, like, there's level 5 Pidgey and you have a level 100 Gyarados who's Hyper Beam, but don't worry, he just fainted. He's okay. But yeah, so that A1.
Everybody, Andrew,
Yes.
Say it on 3. A1.
A1.
1, 2, 3. A1.
A1.
Steak sauce.
A1.
Actually, I found it was O. I couldn't understand. I feel like
Okay. So speaking of this, okay, you're
guys,
pulling this. You're bringing this up. You're bringing this up. You're bringing this up.
Pokemon is Japanese for pocket monsters, which is demons. So you are summoning demons to fight demons. So that was why I was not allowed to play Pokemon growing up.
Are you serious?
Yep.
Oh, that's so dumb. I'm sorry. That's so dumb. I'm sorry. Your parents got this wrong. 100%.
Yes, they did. My parents are very good people. They're very caring people. But we all have flaws.
What did they think of JP2 endorsing Pokemon then?
Wasn't a fan. Also not a fan of JP2 enjoying Harry Potter.
Oh, jeez. Okay,
so the counterpoint, so that was James's experience, which I was gonna bring up and why I called out, like, speaking of morally offensive, I very clearly remember a very negative Christian response towards Pokemon. The same thing stands for Harry Potter.
Pokemans.
Right? So yeah, the Pokemans. I can remember that, and fortunately I had a mom that was like, okay, Andrew's in second grade right now, or second or third grade when Harry Potter came out. Like, this is a huge cultural thing. Like, I'm going to read them and make the determination on whether or not he can read them. So then it was kind of one of those things. And when I got into fourth grade, then like my mom had read the first 3 of them or something like that by the time I had gotten into fourth grade. And then people started talking about Harry Potter. And so I was like, well, Mom, can I read them? And she's like, well, actually, I've read them and I think they're okay. And I actually have them. So here you go. Here's the Harry Potter books. So I had a different experience than James did with Pokemon. I'm sorry, James.
Yeah. Past is the past. I don't dwell on it most.
I just think it's so funny that there's so many groups that latch onto ideas of things rather than actually pursuing it itself. And I think your mom did an amazing job at that, right? So you can take at its surface level, okay, it's pocket monsters. Oh, monsters are devils. Okay, we're going to take 20 steps and not actually dive deep in what actually does this talk about. And like, yeah, it's good sometimes to just take word of mouth because not everybody has time to read books and do things like that. So you point to someone who else might have an idea, but it becomes a pitchfork type idea of we're going to avoid all things this because this and this assumption and this rather than actually, okay, maybe I should look into this myself.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, good times. I wish my mom, and looking back, I wish I would have saved a bunch of booster decks and just in the packaging because they are worth money now. And it's like they were $3 and you can sell them for $400 now. So it's like, that's a great investment.
Hindsight is 2020.
If I could have a DeLorean and go back in time, I would buy as many booster decks and booster boxes as possible. Flood the market, drive down the price. Make
Guys,
money.
with these orbs over New Jersey right now, there's 0 point energy in time travel. Don't you know that? So you can go back and get them.
Dark matter, actually. Subjective ratings. Sorry.
10 out of 10. Absolutely love them.
Ooh, the first one you give a 10 out of 10.
Oh yeah, growing up with it, nostalgia, but then coming back to it later, learning about all the glitches and being able to enjoy it, like not just from yes, I've played this through so many times. Now it's like, oh, I can enjoy it also from a new perspective. And so I love it, glitches and all.
I give it a side out of Gold Ducks.
Which means sigh-yay.
Sigh-yay.
So you give it a 1 out of 2?
Hey, it's my subject, okay? I can call whatever I want. Didn't know we were gatekeeping our ratings.
I mean, if we're not gatekeeping, what are we doing? That was a joke.
We're all laughing internally.
And some of us externally. My rating on Pokemon, I'd say a solid 7 out of 10. The Gen 1s have a special nostalgic place in my memory. But then going forward, like there's just so much that goes into it. Like we could do a whole podcast about EV training and all this other stuff, and going into it, and it's just far too complicated and takes too much time for the average gamer. So I think the overall series 7 out of 10, because it can get really reductive, and I'm a really narrative based gamer, and that's what I like.
Mm-hmm.
Much to Connor's frustration when I'm playing Hitman and he's like, just run around and do things, and I'm like, no, but I want to do the story mission part of it. And
even when the story doesn't matter.
Even when it doesn't matter. So 7 out of 10.
Yeah, I agree with Andrew. 7 out of 10. I didn't grow up with it. It's a fun game. It doesn't really hold my attention. But I mean, it's made for kids.
At the end of the day, it's an RPG. Yes,
RPG.
it's a well-crafted RPG, but you got to have you have to have a certain type of game preference to play RPGs. And
I like RPGs. I don't understand what you're saying.
I'm not a big RPG guy.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah, hear that, guys? Connor hates
I hate Japanese.
Yep, he hates Dungeons and Dragons. He hates role playing.
We're gonna chop that one out.
Dungeons and Dragons players are all nerds.
Yeah, even though I've played it, they're all nerds.
Says the guy with Deadpool and Batman and F1 and Logitech steering wheel and yeah, okay. And kettlebells. Don't forget Connor's kettlebells.
That makes me extra nerdy. But yeah, we stream on Twitch at every Tuesday at 7:30 at twitch.tv/Fatal Condor. So if you want to come in, hang out with us, you can join in and you can hit a follow button as well. And you can get emails, set up emails to let you know whenever we go live. So if you ever want to come in and hang out with us, you're welcome to do so. We're pretty cool guys.
Yeah, we think so.
I think we're pretty okay.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
No, I'm just tired. It's 11:30 here.
It is late.
Okay.
I'll probably make this one a two-parter.
I was gonna say, Joe, how about you take us out?
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, people of all ages, thank you so much for listening to this podcast. Hope you have a fantastic evening, and it will be past Christmas when you listen to this. So, from us in the past who have yet to enjoy the 2024 Christmas, Feliz Navidad, my friends.
Merry Christmas.
Merry
Christmas.
Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Merry Chrysler. Bye. Bye. Have a great time.
Oh man, this Steam, the winter Steam sale, it's not great this year.
No.
I know what you're talking about. I bought in 3 games.
I bought Master Chief Collection. We're still recording, by the way.
Yeah, I know. This is all new, man.
We need more banter.
We need more banter. We need to pump these numbers up. Yeah, I bought. What else did I buy? I bought. Oh, Sainthood.